We purchased almost 200 acres from the Department of Labor to be able to extend our runway and provide commercial air service. That is the headquarters of Berry Aviation. They work for the Department of Defense.
When could San Marcos be a spaceport? Welcome to this episode of the Building Texas Show. Today I'm excited to be in San Marcos, Texas, talking with Helen Ramirez from the city and specifically economic development in San Marcos. Helen, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Justin, for having me. Very excited.
Well, I'm always excited to get back to San Marcos. I spent time there going to school in San Marcos, and it's on the I-35 corridor. And we've had so many stories recently from the corridor around innovation and around the future of work. And San Marcos is not shy in that way. I mean, there's a lot of students coming out of San Marcos, but then I'm continuously impressed with the businesses that I see going into San Marcos.
No, absolutely. We do see this great, I would call it an ecosystem, right, of businesses that are not only incubating and starting up here, but also that have been here with us a long time, over 30 years.
Well, and I remember companies like CFAN, where it's a huge building off the side of I-35, and most people won't know what that is, but it's been out there producing and making a name for San Marcos for a long time. So maybe we start with that. What kind of industries are coming to San Marcos today?
So I think being at the center of I-35 and really being in a convenient location between two mega regions, which is Austin and San Antonio, really puts us at an advantage. And what we're seeing is different types of companies, whether they're big distribution companies such as Amazon and how they've really expanded in the city, or even Epic Piping, who's looking at an expansion of 100 employees here. And some of these companies they're doing very well. So whether you've been here 30 years, 20 years, or even our downtown, I think what's unique about my department being a new economic and local business development department in the city is that Main Street and downtown is a part of who we are, right? So our small businesses, we have very low, less than 5% vacancy in our downtown. And what we're seeing is new retailers coming that are, kind of a boutique style of retail that we're seeing in our city. Also, we're the home of Tri-Texas, which is up to 2,000 acre mega site in Central Texas. And as we can see around, the region, that those are being snatched up by large companies, whether they're satellite, semiconductor, or other types of companies. We're seeing that ecosystem come to Central Texas because of our talent pipeline, because of the readily available land. And also, I think very few people realize that we have actually passenger rail through Amtrak. And if you saw a recent announcement, TxDOT is looking at increasing the frequency of passenger rail on I-35. So that's amazing in partnership with Amtrak. So we as a city would love to see that happen.
Well, let's go back to Tri-Texas. What is that, and why should people know about it? Because it's new to me.
So Tri-Texas is a development adjacent to our San Marcos Regional Airport, and Partners is a broker on that transaction. And it's really interesting because it does allow has rail so it's rail served or has that capability. It is also unique because if you look at mega sites, they're usually 750 acres. So there's a large, it's very rare to see a combination of amassing of land that they've already spent millions of dollars on a major road that goes through it. So usually you don't see that. You don't see the investment come before. It's like, okay, let's get in our first tenant and then we'll build the infrastructure around it. But they have really put in the money into regional detention, the utilities, and everything that you need. And it was in partnership with the city because we're providing wastewater and water for the site. So when there's a large companies that look for these large areas, and as we develop more in and around Williamson County, Hayes, Caldwell, you're seeing less and less the availability of this large campus type of campus land. So we're very excited about the possibility of bringing in large businesses, large companies, advanced manufacturing, clean tech, which is really fits in with our values of, we value the environment. If we can support companies that align with our values and make our environment better, why not? I mean, that is a perfect reason why we would want to incentivize a project.
Well, it's interesting because you have a multimodal site too with train. You have the airport, which is, we'll come back to the airport in a minute because it's a great asset. And then you're right there on the 35 corridor with offshoots going all over Texas. But the regional airport, I've enjoyed landing there as a student pilot. I know Texas State now has a program there. But I have to believe that it's attracting aerospace and defense work as well with the nature of that long runway and large site next to it.
So one of the things that the city committed to is really looking at the airport and its possible expansion. And so we purchased property, almost 200 acres from the Department of Labor, which is great because we have land that's available that's owned by the federal government where we can negotiate and work collaboratively to be able to extend our runway and provide commercial air service. So that's very exciting in terms of our long range plan. And right now we're really working on the right partnership and FAA grants, Texas Aviation, to be able to support us in our, in our goal to be able to extend our airport. Also, I don't know if people know that is the headquarters of Berry Aviation, and Berry Aviation, they work for the Department of Defense. And if you've ever, they do air rescue through helicopters, all this really cool stuff. And they were bought out by a Bristol group, which is a publicly traded company. So look it up, and we hope to be able to expand and collaborate more. And Berry Aviation will continue to be headquartered at our airport, but we are also very excited about what the future can bring. We have over 18 tenants at our airport. And I remember being at the Dallas Federal Reserve, I want to say in 2019, when I worked in my previous city in Brownsville, which also had Brownsville South Padre Island International Airport. And I remember going to this conference called City Age, and it talked about airports being those economic drivers of cities. And that was going to be the future of economic diversity, and that it was like an untapped resource. So I think that's one of the things that San Marcos really has going for it. And we're really excited about, we're really multimodal. We're transit, we're rail, we're air, we're aerospace. Because even at Star Park, you have anti-drone companies there as well. So right. There's a way, technology, it's just a great time, I think, to be a student. And really, you went to Texas State, so you get that student vibe. We're not a city that it has a university like miles and miles away. It is a seamless integration between downtown, city, and student life. And I think that makes us feel, it's like a fountain of youth, I would say.
Well, and it's an asset because you mentioned Star Park, and Star Park is Texas State's incubator, and it focuses heavy on material science and some of the research coming out of Texas State. But it opens up that ecosystem in a whole new way to have academic incubator plugged into the city and local region incubation and ecosystem as well. So what a gift to the cities. You also talked about airports, and many cities are losing their general aviation airports to development, and I would say fight hard to keep them because it is the future of aerospace. And I wonder, when could San Marcos be a spaceport?
It's really great. And spaceports are evolving. There's only so many in the state, but I love that comment and that recommendation. We are looking at that future of space. It is not necessarily launching rockets, right? You're not going to have a rocket launch pad. You can have it in, Starbase, SpaceX, but that's not what we're looking for. But we can be part of the intelligence of creating that ecosystem. I will say having lived in Southern California, even though my family's from El Paso, but having lived there in the aerospace ecosystem, which is the South Bay, Hawthorne, which is, where SpaceX is,
Yeah.
well, moving their headquarters right to Starbase, but it has Raytheon, Boeing, and Northrop Grumman. That's the intelligence part of aerospace. We can also create that intelligence part here, but if someone has to launch, they can find the most appropriate place to launch it. That's not, in the city, right? So I think we can have the best of both. And like I said, the airport's also unique because U.S. Aviation are a flight school for the U.S. Air Force.
Right.
So we have the Air Force here being trained on a daily basis. And I love seeing those Air Force cadets when you go there. I mean, it is active. It's an active airport. And there's not that many. I think we have 5 flight schools here. So if you really want to get in those hours, definitely use our airport.
That, and you've had companies building in aerospace for decades at this point. So a lot of the cities and regions I talk to, they're trying to attract, but you've had some front runners in that space right there in town. What's that been like?
It's been great. I mean, I would say it's a great time for them. I've been having great conversations with them recently, and they're busy. I
Yeah.
mean, they're so busy trying to hire. We're going to have a job fair in January 2027. We're talking about their participation, and they're actively using recruiters. They like to use their own human resources department because and I want to say that sometimes when we think of workforce, we think that it's only mechanical engineers, but there are welders or welders that become orbital welders. There's other types of, there's accountants, there's finance jobs. It's not just, there's procurement. It's not only the technical side. There's a lot of non-technical, workforce, that pipeline that we bring to them. And so talking to, and very recently, to Collins Aerospace, they were talking about their presence in California and how well they're doing here in San Marcos. And it's, for me, it's really important because we surveyed 98 companies. We created our own survey because we wanted to see where companies were, and about 100 responded. Really simple, just check in. How are you doing? What do you need? What can we as a city do better, right? And over 90% said they were stable or growing. 40% of those said that they were growing. About 7% they needed some type of support or in some type of decline or assistance. And so I think it's really important for economic development departments and local departments to really understand and ask them, what do you need? And from there, while we have an economic development policy, which is robust, we're going to right size it. We got to check what types of programs and support, and can we refine those and tailor them to our small businesses, medium and large size businesses, because they're all important in our community.
Now, we've referred to I-35 and this area between San Antonio and Austin as an innovation corridor, and that gives us a lot of opportunity to work together as a region. And I'm curious, what does that look like? And Hays County is unique in general, but what's it like to work with other cities in this innovation corridor?
I love it. I mean, if you followed what I believe, I've always believed in regionalism. My motto has always been one city, one region, and how if we collaborate together, we will be stronger together. It's not about, I don't want to lose an opportunity, but if I don't have the resources of what they need, then absolutely go to Kyle, go to Buda, go to my surrounding cities. As long as you stay, I want you to stay in Central Texas. I think that's,
Right.
and I want you to stay in Texas. So I think when we build the ecosystem, it's not, they don't see, if you think about LA County, there's 88 cities in LA County. I mean, when we're looking at the ecosystem may span more than one region. It's
Right.
Hays, even San Marcos. We're in Hays, we're in Caldwell and Guadalupe. Our airport's in Caldwell County. We kind of have to be regional by nature. And working with Hays Caldwell Economic Development Partnership has been great. And my counterparts, Jennifer Storm and Buda, and everybody, it's been, even San Antonio. I mean, even though it's a different kind of region, and you can say, oh, you compete. But I like the fact that Firefly is here in Cedar Park. I think that's great for Central Texas. And so when we look at the ecosystem, and what I encourage is all cities is put everybody's companies on your map. When we try to recruit, let's be proud of everything that we have here, not only in Austin and surrounding cities, but in other counties, because it will only make us stronger. So that's what I want to see. I want to see a real state regional map with everybody's companies on there.
And we see that coming together, talking about this region. And a lot of people internationally will say, oh, all this is coming to Austin. But Austin is so much bigger than the city of Austin. And Cedar Park is a great call out, Buda, San Marcos, New Braunfels, and so many others, that Round Rock, et cetera, that are seeing this growth and expansion. But it happens as a region. And some places are a better fit, others open it up. You've got students, employees, you've got a lot of good ingredients to attract to San Marcos specifically.
And many of those students want to stay and live here, and they do. I mean, we have an industry that actually incubated here, and actually even went to Rice University, had an accelerator there, competed in there, received seed funding, but their headquarters, Nabaco, is here, and they hired grad students from Texas State. Yep. And interesting enough, they're a global international company because they're in Spain as well. So it's amazing how these companies, you don't have to be a large company to have that impact, right? You can scale up in our city because we have warehouses of different sizes, so it's always scaling to be successful. And Star Park has the accelerator called Starburst, right, which is a defense accelerator in collaboration with Hayes Caldwell EDP. We're already seeing the fruits of the labor because there's existing companies that are going through the cohort, and companies from all over the nation and world that are here. We're seeing them, and we're saying, how can we be part of your expansion, your growth? Maybe it's manufacturing, maybe it's intelligent part, but we want to be here. And what they keep saying is that, wow, they're very impressed that they can talk to the economic development department, with the planning department. And we talk to Texas State, and we're all here at the table. That's not something that you see readily in large cities or cities across the nation. So, because we understand we have that kind of touch point that you may not see in a big city that can be very bureaucratic. So we pride ourselves in trying to streamline that as much as possible and making them feel welcome in our community.
Well, and that's the last topic I want to talk about, because I was in San Marcos for a long time, and there was always friction between the community and the university in that era. But when I go back to the university today and I'm working with the school, it's a very different relationship between San Marcos and Texas State today. And I've talked about it in Lubbock with the city of Lubbock and Texas Tech, College Station, and Texas A&M. It's difficult to live in a city with a university, but there's so much opportunity. What does that look like today from a city perspective?
Well, I think that we love the energy that comes with, and the talent pipeline that comes with the university. But we're also preparing for things like the Pac-12, right?
Right.
In fact, we're going to be hosting a panel next week on preparing our businesses for the Pac-12 and preparing our community for what's to come, which is exciting because it's not only football, it's baseball, it's basketball, it's volleyball, it's everything. It's such an exciting time. But with those things, we have to talk about those conversations of ensuring that we're prepared, we have good services, and that collaboration is not only between the university and the city, but it's also the sheriff's department. There's also regional partners that support those types of things. But I'll give you one example of a great project that we collaborated with Texas State on, and that's bringing a new full-service boutique hotel to our downtown. And that is very unique because that's Midway Hotel. There was an incentive agreement between the city and the hotel operator, but Texas State provided the land. And the fact that it's going to be in downtown, 130 keys with some event space, about 10,000 square feet, so it doesn't compete with our Embassy Suites. They'll be fine. But I mean, you know how hard it is having worked for downtowns throughout, really Texas and other cities. It's very hard to bring a hotel to a downtown. It is probably one of, and boutique of that
Right.
style hotel is unheard of. So I think those partnerships, I would always say, in this time where people care about property taxes, our residents expect reduced property taxes, it is the time to enter into these public-private partnerships. And that can be a win-win for both and the community. And they're hard. They're not easy to negotiate, but it's those hard projects that have the biggest impact, the largest impact in our communities. And I know that our residents will finally, if they have family that come, which they may want to see a Pac-12 game or not, they have a new hotel to go to with a full service hotel in their downtown that they can be proud of. And I think that's one of the values that Texas State brings, those large collaborations.
Well, I'm excited to see it. A hotel downtown is going to be great. I have a hard time imagining the sheriffs handling like game day coming to San Marcos. That might be tough. But I'm really excited to hear the collaboration between the city and the university and what that does. And then the incentives that come through that way. When you do the work the right way, the taxpayer benefits because they're going to see, I suspect you'll see hotel occupancy tax and other things captured when all of those visitors come in. And that's good for the community as well.
And it's always also been a spinoff of that because now Texas State is looking at introducing the new hospitality program,
Right.
which is great for our students. They're going to have real practice here, real live internships, paid ones. And the city also, it was important for us, for workers to receive a livable wage. So there is a minimum wage requirement with CPI increases, believe it or not. I mean, that's how important it is to our mayor and city council to say, we care about the employees that are going to work in this, and we're willing to incentivize something that provides good livable wages for our community. And that's a great example of where we want to go.
And a good use of incentive. It's a get and give relationship. And when it is positive for the community and people can see, yes, this is a benefit, the incentive is being used correctly. And so it's exciting to hear that that's an opportunity. Well, Helen, San Marcos is booming. I appreciate you mentioning Pac-12. That's a huge thing. I've seen so many great restaurants, stores, big manufacturing, all kinds of things coming to San Marcos and Hays County broadly, Caldwell County as well. But I appreciate the time today and everything that we've covered and the excitement coming out of San Marcos.
No, we're really excited. We want everyone to come to our Texas Capitol Air Show at our airport. How fun is that? That's November
That's awesome.
7th and 8th. And so between Buc-ee's opening on August 12th and the air show, I mean, we're just really excited about these large events, Pac-12. So come and enjoy San Marcos and really, also, go along the river and do some tubing or kayaking as well. So I think that ecosystem, it's a beautiful time in our community, and I'm very proud to help lead its economic development, not only locally, regionally, and then bring those global companies our way as well.
Well, thank you so much for the way that you're building Texas and for spending time with me today.
Thank you, Justin. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for enjoying this episode of the Building Texas Show. We release a new episode every week, and you can find us across all social platforms. Please like and subscribe on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Thank you to our sponsor, Chisos Boots, and their damn comfortable cowboy boots.